Hey guys, Mr. Page here. Today we're going to take a deep dive into the true cost to play card games at the top tournament level. Let's consider this from the perspective of Spike here. Spike used to play Magic years ago and played in a few Pro Tours. He's looking to test his competitive skills again, but he isn't sure what game to turn to. He's narrowed down his choices to Magic, Hearthstone, and the newcomer, Artifact. Spike wants to know how much it will cost him to be competitive. Spike has never played Hearthstone or Artifact, and he sold off all his Magic cards years ago, so he will be making a fresh start in all three cases. Let's start with the oldest game on our list, Magic the Gathering. This game dates back to 1993, and they have been printing 3 or 4 sets a year all that time. Thankfully, the tournament scene doesn't use all of the cards, but it's broken up into different formats. Spike will need decks for both Standard and Modern, the most popular formats. Let's look at the top 8 decks from a Standard tournament, the Star City Games Invitational, held on December 9th. We'll see that the costs range from $200 to $600. Looking towards Modern, we see prices in the range of $600 to $1,200 for the top 8 decks from Grand Prix Liverpool, held on December 19th. If you want to check on these prices in real time yourself, I recommend heading to mtggoldfish.com. They are an amazing resource for deck lists and prices. Link in the doobly-doo. Spike had better thank his lucky stars that they aren't likely to announce any Legacy or Vintage events for this year, as those formats cost up to $4,000 for Legacy, and Vintage decks top out at a jaw-dropping $32,500. Spike is going to need to budget $800 to $1,800 to buy into Magic. Next, let's turn to Hearthstone. This free-to-play game is far from free to compete. You can't buy single cards in Hearthstone, so Spike is going to need to open a bunch of packs. We will center our calculations around Dust. Dust is used to craft cards, and you can recycle your extra cards into Dust at about a 25% conversion rate. The top Hearthstone decks cost around 6,000 to 12,000 Dust. Opening a pack gives you about 100 Dust worth of cards, and packs cost about $1.50 each if you get the 60-pack bundle, so each Dust will cost you about a penny and a half. Therefore, our decks will cost from $90 to $180 each. The each here is very important because Hearthstone tournaments are run with each player bringing multiple decks. You will need 3 to 6 decks depending on the given tournament rules. Some of the cards you need will overlap, but Spike is still going to need to budget between $200 and $600 to get up to speed in Hearthstone. That number could change greatly depending on how lucky he gets opening his packs. Now let's look at the newcomer, Artifact. Artifact has a built-in singles market that makes it super easy to buy the cards you need. Looking at the We Play tournament held on December 7th, we can see that the winning deck costs $46, and the other top 4 decks cost $48, $26, and $24. Artifact also has a $20 upfront fee that gets you 10 packs, a handful of cards, and 5 event tickets. The cards in those 10 packs are going to be worth about $12.50 on average, and the tickets are worth $1 each, so we lose $2.50 on the fee for the game. Putting the cost of the game together with the cost of a top-tier deck, we get that Spike needs to budget a mere $27 to $50 to play Artifact at the highest level. Next, let's consider the recurring costs Spike will have to pay over a year. In MTG, Spike's Modern deck was expensive, but it will most likely stay relevant for years. He will deal with shifts in the metagame and change out some cards as the months roll on. If he wants to shift decks, he can sell the cards he bought in the first place and recoup most of that cost. Standard only uses cards from the last 2 years, and a new set comes out 4 times a year. Because the format is much smaller, new decks are normally needed every quarter. Spike might get lucky and his deck will stay competitive, but he will probably have to purchase a new deck 2 or 3 times a year. Spike should budget $100 for Modern cards, and another $200 to $600 for Standard over the year. For Hearthstone, Spike will now be earning the free-to-play awards, which will help keep him playing. Conventional wisdom, though, is that on top of the free-to-play awards, you should expect to spend $100 to $150 each set release to keep your options open for new decks. He can probably get away without spending any more cash, but it will be frustrating to try to manage what cards to keep and what ones to turn to dust. Hearthstone releases 3 sets a year, so Spike should budget from $0 to $450 for Hearthstone per year. Artifact hasn't announced a schedule for how many sets will be released, but we can assume all new decks will be needed each time. With decks costing $20 to $50 each, he should budget to buy 2 or 3 more decks per year at least. His old deck can be sold off to mitigate this cost, and some of the cards will be reusable. Spike should budget between $30 and $100 per year to stay up to date in Artifact. What if Spike doesn't want to be committed to 1 or 2 decks all season? Let's see what it would cost for a full playset of all of the cards. Let's start with MTG, where this isn't realistic. I found an eBay auction for a 4X set of the newest Magic set for $557.99. Multiply this by the 8 sets in Standard, and you can have an estimate for a full set of Standard cards costing you $2,231.96. A full set of Modern would probably cost more than a new car. A more realistic approach would be to pick up all of the staple cards. Our friends at MTG Goldfish have a feature on their site to get that price, and we can see that the prices have actually fallen this month down to $2,194, thanks to a large reprinting of cards that just came out. There will be some overlap between the two formats, but owning all the cards is still going to cost around $3,000 to $4,000, and you will have to pay another $500 every quarter as new sets come out. No one really plays Magic this way, but the top Hearthstone players do try to get all of the cards. For Hearthstone, the conventional wisdom is that you need to put in about $200 per set to get all the cards. Spike will have to buy 7 sets right now for $1,400, and then be ready to dump another $200 3 times a year. Finally, we come to Artifact. Head on over to www.howmuchdoesartifactcost.com to get a real-time cost for a full playset of Artifact cards. At the time of this writing, a full playset costs $186.19. We can expect to have to pay this 2 to 4 times a year, each time a new set comes out, for a total cost of between $372 and $744 per year. Don't be fooled by the $20 upfront price tag on Artifact. When you take a closer look, Artifact offers an incredible value compared to its competition. My name is Mr. Page, and I hope you enjoyed this strategy page on the true cost of card games.